You had me do it. I watched Legends House. I watched two things. We're going to review this right now, and we're going to talk about ruthless aggression on the next program that's coming on the Drive-Thru, because we've got other things to do as well, and we want to make sure that we spread this stuff out.
Well, let me just say for the record, what we did was we put a poll on Twitter. What would you like to hear Jim review? Legends House actually came in second to Ruthless Aggression, but I told you I think you should probably watch this as well.
Well, it was like 29.2% to 28.7% or whatever. They were tied. So we're going to do both. But right now I want to talk about Legends House because it makes a point. All these fucking guys, Tony Atlas, Hillbilly Jim, Pat Patterson, Jimmy Hart, Howard Finkel even, poor Fink. You know, he's a personality in his own right. But Hacksaw Doug and Roddy Piper, Gene Okerlund, put them in a fucking house, just put a camera in front of them. They're interesting people. They know how to tell stories. They have different individual personalities. You'll get something out of them, in regardless of what the fucking situation. They don't just sit over in the corner and stare at their fucking phones and wait to be told what to say or how to emote. They're not boring fucking people that look like they've goddamn never been in a fight, never been in jail, never been fucked, never had any interesting experiences. And that the previous generation of pro wrestlers were all wild ass fucking weirdos like this. And that's why it was fun. And now you got a bunch of fucking, some of them are well-groomed. The well-groomed guys that look like children, like fucking 16-year-old kids playing wrestler, or the fucking guys they do have that look like weirdos. They dress them up in suits and make them mad at people for sneezing. And there were no drones in the Legends House. But I digress. I'd never seen this thing. You know that I've never watched any of the WWE original programming. So I didn't know what to think otherwise, and I would never do something like this. All these legends living in the same house. You know me. I can't have people around me for that long. But except for, who is Ashley, by the way? Who is Ashley? Was Ashley one of the divas, one of the girls?
No, I believe she was actually one of the Pussycat Dolls. And then after that group dissolved, she started doing reality shows. She used to host some show on NBC here in New York after Saturday Night Live, like going to exotic locations and playing fun games. She was a musician / dancer of some sort.
So they just put her on television because she's got blonde hair and a big tit job and looks good in a fucking tight dress.
Do you think they looked fake?
Well, nothing that's shaped in that perfectly has not been tuned up or worked on in some respect. I don't know. But the point is, fuck, here you Tony Atlas, Hillbilly Jim, Pat Patterson, they go down the list of all these legends, and then Ashley. Who the fuck is Ashley? I say it's like the Flying Burrito Brothers and Naomi, or the Cornelius Brothers and Sister Rose, the Legends House and Ashley. Who the fuck is Ashley? And when she comes in, she vapidly, emotionlessly reads, scripted fucking lines, and then you never see her again. Why the fuck was she even there?
She's kind of, it's not really the host, but she's kind of the wrangler.
Yeah.
She's all right in that role, I think.
Fuck. All right. I just watched the first episode, so I just have a few comments. The whole thing about it, I would have turned around and walked out immediately when I saw they had curtains instead of doors on the bedrooms and the bathrooms. And I've taken shits next to several of the individuals in this house, and that wouldn't have fucking flown with me either. I love Roddy Piper. I loved Roddy Piper, but he was the one that always protected his image, the image of him as Roddy Piper. He didn't talk about, I've had so-and-so matches or whatever. I've had 7,000 pro fights. He was always Roddy Piper. And he was the most interesting guy on this episode, especially when he just walked out in the fucking woods like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. But, besides for the bubble-headed blonde telling him to go meet the neighbors, that was kind of a cute thing. But all of these guys had some kind of personality. I can watch Roddy Piper play with a fucking blender for 3 minutes, or Pat Patterson cooking dinner. because they probably didn't have to, the producers probably did not have to manipulate a lot of this shit. But then out of nowhere, Gary Busey shows up to teach meditation and starts honking at the ducks. And you could tell Pat Patterson just hated Gary Busey. Like, what the fuck are you doing? And, Tony Atlas and Hacksaw Duggan getting hot at each other. Piper sticking up for living your gimmick against Gary Busey when he's, well, you can take the character and leave it. And you can, no, he said, you're an actor. I'm not. Piper was Piper 24 hours a fucking day. And then when he was freaking out to get out of there, I said that would be me. But I liked seeing those guys, you know, in just for 30 or 40 minutes or whatever the fucking show was, just having some personality and being different. And so many of today's guys, they just do this YouTube shit where they just sound like they're just playing at being fucking personalities instead of actually being them. Because I can tell you, there was nothing out of the ordinary for any of these people that they said on the show that they wouldn't have said or reacted that way in real life. Even I didn't get to know some of them until later in their career, even in my career. Hillbilly Jim is from Bowling Green, Kentucky. He got into business in 1983. I never met him for 10 years until I went to the WWF. And he was already about ready to retire, but we, you know, met at some of the functions or whatever. So another Kentucky boy, but he started who was it working in Memphis that saw him and broke him in as Harley Davidson? I'm trying to remember who it was.
Well, he teamed with Don. Was it Roger Smith? I was supposed to say Don Bass. He teamed with Roger Smith.
Roger Smith was Dirty Rhodes at that time, Dusty Rhodes' cousin. But some of the guys working in the Memphis territory saw him and broke him in then. And 6 months later, he went to the WWF because he was big and looked like a hillbilly. And Vince wanted some hillbillies. And of course, you know, I'd known Jimmy Hart since 1977. And, you know, he's Dr. Tom Pritchard, whenever me and Jimmy Hart will be sitting talking to each other someplace, here they are, the feather and the spike. Because Jimmy's like, oh, poo-poo, hey, boo-boo, I love you. How you doing, baby? Oh, yeah, it's going to be positive. I'm like, motherfucker, what the fuck's going on here? You get the feather with him and the spike with me. But I love Jimmy. Piper, of course, I've always, you know, had a soft spot for. Hacksaw, I met in Louisiana 35 years ago. I was scared to fucking death the first time that I had to take Hacksaw Duggan's spear. Because remember, he didn't do the spear like now Goldberg and Edge and those guys do. His was like going down in a 3-point football stance and then charging and flying forward and giving you a big flying fucking tackle. And the first time they said, yeah, Ricky and Robert will grab you and they'll shoot you into the fucking spear of Duggan. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't even prepared my will. And he was light as a fucking feather. He was only really stiff at the Lighthouse in Alexandria after the matches. That's where he'd throw people out from all the way from the bathroom past the bar into the fucking band stage. But I, you know, all those guys, just they're different and their personalities, and you can do something with them. They're a TV producer's dream because they can turn it on and off when they want to, and they give you something. So it was a nice little lighthearted fucking show. It wasn't going to change the world, but it was fairly entertaining. I would never do this in a million years. I don't even ever have anybody split hotel rooms with me. At least unless there's something going on. That's always been my rule. I got to have my shit prepared the way I like it. I got to have it laid out in the right place. I got to have full access to just shit and fart and make all kinds of fucking bad noises, watch the TV that I want to watch too. I've never had roommates, so this wouldn't work for me, but it was a fun little show.
Did it make you want to watch more of it?
I might actually tune in just to see if Pat ever finishes those goddamn lettuce or cabbage wraps or rolls and see what else the fuck Piper is going to do. Anyway, I liked the Legends House. As I said, it wasn't earth-shaking material, but it was easy to watch, and they do a good job on production. And you know, and I would have liked the house all by myself, just not with that many roommates. But anyway, that was, even though it came in second place by less than 1%, I wanted to watch Legends House first, and then we're going to talk about Ruthless Aggression next time.